Yeah, another video. Lots of stuff, lots of irritating stuff. Anyway, so Pyrrho made a video, and then Fake Sagan made, some sort of reaction video to the analysis and the what the fuck. It wasn't very interesting. But I'll play some of the Fake Sagan clip. You know, like I said, it's just this whatever this banter kind of nonsense, wasting time because my image is funny when he freezes it. Yeah, whatever. It's kind of a waste of time. Anyway, and then so Pyrrho made a video, and it's just irritating. Didn't get it's just there's no substance in it. No even useful concession to the communication problem made out of this word issue, and he just plays this game like, it's your fault. Which, you can say that politely, but it doesn't really matter. Then he's talking about this friend thing or something, and that that there's some sort of tolerances or what's acceptable and what's not acceptable and all this other kind of crap. And yeah, I'm just totally disinterested, frankly. I get you get familiarized to things in your environment, and I've just said this, even things that are shitty you almost don't want to throw out just because, oh, it's my favorite garbage can, even though it's covered with crap, it's shitty, it's smelly. Well, it's my garbage can. So yeah, maybe it's my pyrrho or something. So yeah, it's a little hard just to throw in the crapper, but it's been nothing but crap. It's a piece of shit. It doesn't work. But it's like if it's your car, right? It's your lemon, and you're comfortable. It's got a good seat or something. I don't know. And so you find something about it that makes it hard to just throw in the crapper. But you're better off without it. And my analysis of my interactions with Pyrrho is that yes, I'd be better off without it. It doesn't make any contribution at all. It's just an irritant and a frustration. And to add to it, like there should be some friend component. Well, I mean, I can't, sort of make this sort of clear. Is you're playing a different game than I am, asshole. The game I'm playing, there's real victims that you're harming, and your philosophy harms. You glib fuckers are playing glib game, okay, where it's all harmless. It's a video game. No real damage is done. In my world, real damage is done by your stupid, glib, silly, religious mush. So why would I be friends with that? Like I said, I can't be friends with people in my own family because they voted for Trump. Why the fuck should I put up with your glib bullshit? I hate glibists, and you're a glibist. You're an excuse maker. You're just part of the problem, not part of the solution, as I've stated. That's my analysis. Where's any room for friend in there? I just can't see it, can't find it. So fuck that shit. And again, in my opinion, I've sort of made it clear. I see you're not productive politically. You make any kind of collaboration on the stuff we agree with impossible because the stuff we disagree on is just too catastrophic. It's not acceptable. So you just point out how the Democrats are going to keep losing because their coalition is too fragmented. The interest groups are too separate, and you can't hold this much stuff together with this small a magnet. Just can't happen. And so it's in big trouble. The bad guys, the religious kooks and the rich are going to win in this environment. And that's really disappointing. And it's going to be seen all over the world. The frickin' tree huggers are going to put the fucking Nazis in power with their silly, unrealistic crap. And that's just the truth. They're the worst enemy. The idealists are just make it impossible because they won't be pragmatic. They won't they won't accept any compromise, and that just ain't gonna work. You gotta, you know. Well, anyway. All right. So this word game, and it is a game you play. So you know, the joke of his video, you know, was this stupid crap where, you know, it is, you know, it's always little subtle ironies, but, you know, after I made the video, I played it, you know, and I realized I said 1 billion years, as funny as that sounds. It was a mistake I noticed. I said, whoops, I shouldn't have said 1 billion, I should have said 500 million. And, but, you know, who figures it needs correction? I've made it clear what I associate consciousness with neurons. There's no doubt about that. Neurons hadn't created neural networks a billion years ago, so clearly consciousness wouldn't have existed 1 billion years ago. And I didn't make some explicit scientific statement. It was a throwaway line. I said, you know, millions and even 1 billion years ago. You know, it's that kind of a statement. So let's understand, I wasn't making a scientifically precise statement. I was just talking about a timeline of, you know, that feeling organisms have existed on Earth for a very, very, very long time. And to pervert that statement into this fodder for jokes is again just part of the glib that I can't stand. I'm making a deep point, and what do? The only thing you get out of it is, oh, he made a mistake, instead of 1 billion instead of 500 million. Fuck you. I'm not humored. So you know, so it's really about this language thing. So he calls me a hypocrite because I choose to create new language and make it precise, and somehow that's being a hypocrite. That somehow if I create new words, that means I'm using language the way he does, which is amorphous, imprecise, you know, Heisenbergy. And there's nothing Heisenberg about the new language I wish to create. And if I make a new word, I give it pretty explicit definition. I describe its properties and go to some great lengths to explain what the new word represents. And so it's just bullshit to call it hypocrisy. New language, refined language, is not a remix of old language. The whole point of the new language is because the old language is unworkable. You can't salvage the words anymore. Unfortunately, you can't salvage the word quanta. I would love to be able to salvage that word, but you really can't salvage it from what has been done to it. It's been ruined by phantasmagorical bullshit. Its function as describing a fundamental particle is now broken. Anyway, so then he called it projection. You know, projecting. You know, so if I find fault with somebody, it's just, you know, I mean, this is just such an easy accusation to make. I find somebody else to be rapey, therefore I'm a rapist. I mean, it's just, you know, it's the lamest of cheap argumentation. It's as bad as Anti-Kantavad and his constant diatribe that anybody who has a decisive mind is a Nazi or Pol Pot or, you know, some other evil force trying to doom the world. I mean, so if you make explicit law saying, look, we have to have laws protecting the commons, that is, protecting the lobster fisheries or some other thing, that somehow you're a fascist and an insane, power-hungry, maniacal murderer. Because you're going to establish something because you know it to be a truth, that has to be a protection, there has to be a law, that people won't do it voluntarily. You have to have a law. You have to have a law against people polluting the environment, or, you know, they will for their self-interest pollute it. And you invest in that, absolutely. Absolutely, you have to invest in that principle. You're not a Nazi. You're not an insane bigot. But he'll keep implying that somehow this is about bigotry. He even left a comment on one of my videos saying, you don't like being called a bigot. Ha ha ha. Well, you know, you don't like the Nazis because being called a Nazi, a Jew killer. Yeah, I don't mind being called a killer. I don't like being called a killer for bigotry. If I'm going to kill something, I'm going to kill it to protect its victims. There's a big fucking difference. And the fact that you can't figure that out is, bet on you, buddy. It's really not a joking manner. It really isn't. But whatever. Ha ha ha. Smiley face. Anyway, it's a whole nother pile of shit. So yeah, so so because I accuse Pyrrho of using fluky language in explicit words. I mean, a lot of these words are broken in physics now. Superposition is a broken word because they're using the same word to describe more than one thing. They're just conceptually broken. And to talk in terms of locality and realism, or even relativity, okay, Pyrrho spent some time talking about relativity. Relativity doesn't mean something's not absolute. That's the thing you're not getting. Okay, is that yes, relativity exists in the absolute universe. It doesn't exist. It's not the other way around. The absolutes aren't relative. The absolutes are absolute, and there's relative positions within the absolute universe. The big universe has pieces of universe, and the pieces are relative to each other, but that doesn't change their absoluteness in the universe. So there is no relative position. There's only an absolute position, and in that absolute position you can have things that are relatively close and things that are relatively far away. But relatively exist in the absolute truth. It doesn't exist in something else. There's no different places in any real sense. That's just bullshit. There's one absolute universe. There's one real universe, and there's nothing in any unreal places. That's my premise, and obviously we don't share a fundamental understanding that's, again, this is going back to these arguments about which one is the first word. I'm saying science is the first word, and philosophy is a subcategory of science, or investigation, and likewise there's an absolute universe, and relativity can exist in the absolute. Big deal. But there's no change in the universe. All right. Then and then comes up with this information crap. Information is a word that means something when you're manipulating concepts. So information is like knowledge. It's conceptual. That means it's a symbolic representation of reality. It's a word you use to describe models of reality. You don't use the word information to describe the real world. You use it to describe the modeling world, the elements inside a model of reality. Information doesn't exist in reality. It exists in models of reality. And that's a big difference. It's a meaningful difference in understanding what information is. That relationship doesn't mean anything unless the model's moving, unless it's a functioning device, and then it can be understood what the consequences are and what outcomes are, and you can do all this predicting thing and all that kind of shit. The universe doesn't do any of that. It exists in a past, present, future cause and effect chain, and models don't have to live in that universe, universe narrowed by time. But I'm just saying it's an inappropriate use of the word. You don't call the byproduct the product. You don't use the same language to describe the thing and the cartoon drawing of it. You use different language. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So yes, so this just gets to, in the end, I just see your efforts being to, in a sense, violate the truth with unnecessary semantics. So instead of describing what you're talking about, you'll use a word like love or spirituality or some other kind of bullshit, and it has nothing to, even empathy, he's now calling it a fundamental brain function because there's something called a mirror neuron. Guess what? Mirror neuron is just a way some scientists decide to describe those neurons. They could have been called imitation neurons. They could have been called redundancy neurons. It could have been called lots of different words that would have given them different meaning. and different functionality. And again, so I certainly don't think there's anything intrinsic about our empathy programming in any substantial way beyond the fact that the empathy is programmed to function based on a reward and punishment, based on things that treat you well become allies, and you become invested evolutionarily in playing the game theory in a sense of you gain more, you catch more flies with sugar than vinegar kind of an argument. It's to your interest to have things, to negotiate contracts with the other players where you create interdependencies that will make both of you stronger. Allies are important to playing the game, I guess is all I'm saying. And clearly empathy would be part of that ally building. But, you know, I'm just saying, I don't want to get in an argument about that, you know, bit of evolutionary psychology, but it's just the whole idea that he has this presumptive claim of what we are and how we think. And my argument is that has nothing to do, psychology really has nothing to do with what is right or wrong philosophically. And I'm arguing philosophy and psychology, again, is an enemy to philosophy. It's in no way an ally to philosophical understanding. It only gets in the way. And so the less of it you pay any attention to, the better, in terms of trying to describe the actual truth of a circumstance. Our empathy is usually bigoted, therefore irrational, and it is circumstantially corrupted by personal conveniences, personal advantages. So it doesn't mean anything. It's not a source of understanding. It shouldn't be a source of our definition of what is respectable. And that's the fundamental kernel of my argument, is that you, as one of the glibbists, are defending a system that routinely and very methodically causes great harm because you think you're worth it. Because you're selfish fuckers. And you don't account for the price paid to keep you running. And that's just bullshit. It's a lie. It's just silly rationalizations and excuses for self-interested psychological behavior, not philosophically, rationally defensible behavior. Alright, I think I disposed of that. But whatever, I have made it clear in my videos. If you want to talk about physics, okay, that's fine. Let's talk about let's talk about one element of physics at a time. Heisenberg, two-slit even, bent space, relativity, time dilation, inertia, the nature of it. But there's no point in having this too general a conversation that is dependent on so many assumptions that are, in my opinion, very challengeable as truth. Quantum mechanics is layered with poorly evidenced assumptions, conclusions based on thin evidence, almost non-existent. That's why I'm saying it's pretty close to a religion. All right, so that disposes of pyrrho. On to the fake Sagan. No big deal here. I guess it was just the contrast of the, ironic contrast of Brett Keane, rapid fire of a bunch of questions, kind of interesting philosophical questions, some of them maybe, and this, trivial drama crap where fake Sagan is not even conceding. He's just bending arguments in all kinds of directions. I mean, the fact that I was just pointing out how a person who is worried about their welfare has a different. If you have a lot to lose, you have no reason to expose yourself to risk. If you have little to lose, then risk doesn't matter. And I think Fake Say can understand why I might not care about making enemies. Okay, because I'm not invested. And in a sense, I don't want to give any crazy people ideas, but the truth is, sort of like the Unabomber or any one of these other characters, I sort of win in martyrdom. So if I can die in some kind of insanely newsworthy way, it'll only make me more powerful. Sadly. It's a tragic truth of my existence. And if I was really a hero, I would probably try to do something dramatically silly. Not harm anybody necessarily, but just try to die in some sort of elaborate way. Because it works. Yeah. But unfortunately, like I said, you can't just set yourself on fire in the street. That doesn't work. So you do have to do something that threatens civilization in some way, I suppose. At least threatens to be newsworthy. But anyway, it's just a tragic truth that people pay attention to things that die in an interesting way. Dying in an interesting way is sort of important if you wish to make an impact on the world, and it's just a sad truth. Alright, that's enough of that. So we'll just play, I think, around the 25-minute mark. I don't know, I thought there was something worthwhile here, but I'm not sure. Some of it's stuff I don't need to go over twice, so I'll speed it up a little bit and we'll see how it goes. I thought that, I'm just saying, apparently there was something I wrote down. I didn't take any notes because there was just not much to note. Wasn't much that was noteworthy. I'm just sorry. I don't think he made any salient points.
Ecological diagnosis, because I couldn't really give a rat's fucking ass.
Good, because you suck at it.
What Fake Say clearly is insane.
Coming from you.
Right. So I suck at analysis, and that was where I was doing the thing where he has mama issues. And yeah, I did think that was sort of relevant, just because he just kind of, he just bypassed that subject. In the sense, well, my mother didn't have superpowers, but that's my whole point. Your mother was just playing victim, and she let you be a victim, and I think you do have a problem with that.
He kind of assured there.
Coming from Gary in Mendham.
Oh, it's okay.
Coming from.
Well, again, Gary in Mendham doesn't have a gun collection. Gary in Mendham doesn't play with, the matches, so to speak. So again, if you don't want the comparison, don't live it. You're the one with this whole conspiracy theory, much like Oswald. The comparisons are valid. If you want to claim I'm crazy why? Because I believe in evolution. Oh, okay. And I take it seriously. I take seriously the consequences of evolution. And therefore, I'm crazy. No, I don't think so, asshole.
The guy who threatens judges and gets himself on.
Okay, so that's what you had to resort to, right? And I've already responded to this. How many times do I have to respond to it? Could you please produce the threat? Here you're talking about how the government is out to get us, and you don't understand how that's why I'm on the watch list. It's because I didn't do anything wrong. I threatened their control. I threatened their incompetence. I threatened their violation of the Constitution. You don't get that? I got put on the watch list because I told the judge I have constitutional rights, and you violated them. That's why I was on the watch list, and I won the appeal. Again, how many times can I say this to you fucking liars? You want to say I threatened a judge? Well, if I threatened a judge, how could it be possible that I won a federal appeal? They're not easy to win. A federal appeal, that's one step below the Supreme Court, for fuck's sake. And I won. Asshole. The judge was removed. He was demonstrated to be wrong. You get it?
Fox News. You ain't crazy to be anywhere near Fox News.
I don't choose. I didn't call Fox News, asshole. They called me. So Fox News calls you. What are you going to say? Fuck you? No, he wanted to do it. He wanted my response to the fact that a federal whatever he was, said, I was out of line for making my video, and I would be placed on the watch list. And he wanted my response, so I gave him my response.
Do this own each one thing, because I'm not going to go psychotic and shoot up the place. Yeah, right. I'm sure they're feeling really confident that they can get into some mega battle with a crazy fake Sagan, and they don't have to worry at all.
Yeah, so he missed this whole point too. That he talks like, again, fake Sagan goes through these mood shifts. That's clear. I'm not talking about fake Sagan every day. I was just sort of pointing out that most people only do this kind of wacky stuff when they're figuring on maybe getting killed themselves. They don't do this stuff and figure I'm going to get away with it. Most of them are pretty fatalistic. I'm either going down with the ship, or they, like Oswald, they go to a movie theater and just wait to get arrested because they know they're fucked.
Scoop with his guns, his 2 AK-47s that he's ready to take on the Chinese tank army with.
Hold on, no, whoa. There's a lot to respond to here. For one thing, I only have one AK-47, although I do have multiple.
Yeah, multiple assault rifles. So again, this is just these little details are like the most insignificant of little details. And all of it's not consistent with the fact that these are your own words, okay? I'm only describing you based on your own description of your own attitude, and how, in my opinion, insanely conspiratorial it is, and how insanely, like, this is somehow practical, like you're going to win the revolution. And you're not.
Assault rifles, but they're not all AKs. But what was the other thing about? Like you're just ripping off my talking points, Gary. I mean, this claim that the DP had a meeting before episode 305 was recorded, and TJ kind of pulled him aside and said, "Hey, we better go easy on this guy because he might show up to one of our meetups." Like,
yeah, so I was conceding your claim. I was conceding that it might be a realistic argument that the DP wouldn't be interested in getting in a drama war with you. I was conceding that it might just be that they say, fake Sagan ain't Brett Keane, let's not fuck with him because he's too crazy. I was conceding your point, idiot.
This Joseph Martelli dude and fuck our shit up. That was I'm the one that put that forth. So, how are you going to throw it back in my... By the way, look at this still.
I'm throwing it in your face because, frankly, it would be what somebody who has something to lose might think. They might say, why would I play with this fire? Because, yeah, fake Sagan has every appearance of being somebody who you just don't want to play with. And you don't want to have sex with him either, apparently, because like I said, he'd beat the shit out of you. Laughing at the images thing is kind of, I mean, like I said, I can't do that to fake Sagan. So yeah, once you get yourself a webcam, I got a ton of them actually, but I'm not going to waste the postage sending you one.
This isn't Mendham on drugs. Anyway.
He's not going to, decide that when he's going out, he might as well take out the trash. So he's going out day, he'll take out the trash.
Gary, come on, man. Like, if I was going to be some deranged school shooter or something, don't you think it would have happened by now? I'm fucking 37 years old.
It only happens once, so I'm just saying. I mean, you don't get to do the deranged super shooter more than once. You get to do it once. So the fact that it hasn't happened yet, oh, that's supposed to mean something to me? They don't all do it when they're 16. Some of them do it when they're 70. Some do them when they're 60, 50. There's all kind of ages they, start bending the wrong way. And you're heading for the magic, midlife crisis years, so who the fuck knows? But I'm supposed to predict what year you go postal? Yeah, sorry, I don't have that in my book of knowledge.
Bro, give me a break. Like, I went through the trauma and abuse of high school like everybody else. I went through college and trying to find myself and doing a whole bunch of drugs. I've been through a lot of shit in my life. If I was going to snap and do a mass shooting, it would have happened years ago.
It says you. Again, like I said, there's lots of people that go through lots of shit, and their snapping point is the snapping point. Some of them snap at 10, some of them snap later, so whatever. I mean, technically, just because of circumstances, I might be able to say I snapped a few times, but it just didn't snap. The snap didn't happen. But I was at the It's like you're driving for the federal building and you get a flat tire. Something like that happens.
I mean, I think at the point I'm at in life, I've kind of reached some semblance of equilibrium where that's not really a legitimate concern. But the reason why I put that claim in...
Well, again, it's a legitimate argument to be made. I'm just saying you've given us a profile of crazy. That's what you've given us. I change my mind every 13 seconds. I can't control my behavior, even for Jesus. One minute I say I can change, next minute I say I can't change. But no, I certainly can't change certain things, the simplest things about me I can't change. I mean, I'm just saying, you're the one who spilled all this mush out here, and then you're saying, oh, well, don't look at the mush and analyze it. Well, I'm going to analyze it, but you've spilled it out. And my analysis, in my opinion, you're not refuting the analysis. You're just not. You're just saying, oh, fuck you for, taking me seriously.
In my video, Fake Sagan owns the drunken peasants, is because I know that they see me that way. I know that that's how TJ is genuinely afraid of me. He thinks I truly am like this unhinged, insane person, which I just think is kind of funny. But whatever. Anyway, let's get on.
Well, again, you think it's kind of funny, but I'm just saying there's nothing in your rhetoric that makes it sound like it's funny. You sound a little bit like a crazy person. I mean, and you're going to argue that I sound crazy. Why is that? Oh, because I take being a mammal and having neurons and being able to feel and be tortured seriously. Oh, silly me. And I'm not a bigot. I don't look at the other mammals on Earth and pretend that the fact that they can't sing and dance or sing an Irish ditty means that they aren't worthy of consideration. Yeah, I'm not that fucking stupid.
It's a perfectly reasonable way to think, but it's really a bad bit of logic when it's in the brain of a psychotic. That's the part where it all goes wrong. Good rational sense to take out the trash doesn't really work when it's in the hands of some asshole who can't figure out what trash really is.
Is he talking about me or is he talking about the DP?
No, I'm talking about you, obviously. I don't know how you could miss that. Take out the trash was the line I used to describe the person who snaps. That's what most of them are doing. They're taking out their version of the trash. That's what Timothy McVeigh was doing. Taking out the government babies, trash, and the Columbine guys taking out the trash, shooting 15-year-old girls.
Gary, if you're talking about me, what are you saying, that I'm not worthy of my own ideas? Like if I come up with a good idea, it's a good idea, but it doesn't count because it came from me. Or so,
No, I wasn't talking about your stupid idea at all. I was talking about the fact that somebody would have reason to say playing with fake Sagan isn't a great idea. Like they'd have good reason if I had a daughter to say don't date fake Sagan, that kind of thing. There's reason to say not a good idea.
That actually wouldn't be the first time I've heard people say something similar to that on YouTube. But actually, I've had people leave comments plenty of times where it's like, oh, fake Sagan's right, but it doesn't count because he's fake Sagan. Whatever.
So anyway, that's the problem. But yes, you do have to worry about touching fake Sagan off. I mean, saying the wrong thing to fake Sagan because, yeah.
Well, Gary, I find a gaping flaw in this logic here because, you're saying all kinds of loud shit about me right now. Like, you just called my mom a whore who will spread her legs for any fast-talking player or whatever the hell you said. And, your docs got dropped.
Yeah, and again, I'm not the drunken peasants, right? So you don't understand the distinction or difference? I'm just saying that people in different positions have different concerns. I've said things to lots of people I thought were crazy. Okay, and just because I'm not gonna change who I am for that circumstance because I have very little to protect. In a sense, I've made I've made 4,000 videos. It's not like it'd be a huge tragedy, except for the few people who are dependent on me in the real world. And the cats. So I'm just saying I got less to lose. I'm just saying somebody with something to lose might want to say, if I can play with something else, why not play with something else? I do this. This is my job, so to speak. Other people don't do that. I do bomb disposal. Other people don't do bomb disposal. They'll say, well, no, I'll go get a job at the grocery store. I don't want to do bomb disposal. Just happens to be the thing I'm good at. So I do it.
Years ago, everybody knows where you fucking live. You know, I don't know off the top of my head because I don't give a shit, but I'm sure if I spent 5 minutes.
Well, you did a whole video where you pointed out it's in Mendham and New Jersey. It's not that big a place, really, 5,000 people. Yeah, not hard to find. Got kind of an unusual name, really easy.
So on Google, I can fucking figure it out. So like, why aren't you worried? Is this some weird attempt at like suicide on your part, or because letting you believe what you're saying? And by the way, like, let me state.
Yeah, frankly, I'm just saying that. What, you don't think there's a difference between me having an argument with you and me having an argument with Pyrrho or something? You think I think Pyrrho's more postal than you or something? I'm just saying, yeah, we can have risk assessment. I'm just saying, of the people on the internet right now, I would say, yeah, the gun nut. Well, that's you know, if I was going to make a list of the properties and, you know, in the categories commensurate to people you don't want to fuck with, yeah, guys who own more than one gun. Any gun for me, frankly. Even Pyrrho having a gun is gross. But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, this whole, yeah, I don't get it. But yeah, so yeah, of course you're gonna get put on the fucking. Why bother with this asshole list? Drinks too much, pretends he can't be un-Irish. You know, it's somehow in his blood. I have to be a cliche Irishman.
Very clearly, I'm not making a threat against anybody. I'm not threatening physical violence in any way. I'm just pointing out the inconsistency in what.
Well, you do threaten it, though, all the time, and you say that I have trigger words that'll make me insane, and I'll have to go do something and punch something or do something violent. I mean, it's out of your own mouth, fuckhead. This is just bullshit. I mean, you can't say that shit and then pretend you didn't say it, and then pretend I'm wrong for noticing that you said it. Damn it.
What he's saying here, he's saying like, oh, you know, you better not take the gloves off with a fake Sagan and hurt this guy's feelings because he might go Joseph Martelli on your ass and like come gunning for you.
I don't even know if Joseph Martelli did any of that. So I like I said, I'm more concerned that you're doing some kind of Timothy McVeigh thing. You know, yeah, you're part of the government's conspiracy.
Yeah, with his multiple AK-47s, Gary, if you really believe that, why would you be making this video right here? Because like everybody knows where you are. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I've already been there, done this. I've had the cops knocking on my door because people make phone calls. So yeah, I piss people off and people try to fuck with me. So what? I've been there, done that. I just don't give a fucking rat's ass. Shithead. But I don't like it. To tell you what, you're going to ask me, do I like that fake Sagan has guns? Do I like that fake Sagan's unhinged? Do I like that I'm having an argument with a guy who could in some way maybe cause me trouble? No, I don't like it. I don't like arguing with Brett Keane or anybody else who might try to sabotage me in some way because I disagree with them. But so what? I'm not going to be ruled by that fear.
He's trying to do his gun nut thing on you. And there's absolutely no reason.
Gun nut. Oh, okay, Gary, I've got 5 guns. Right? You're not.
All right, that's probably right there. That's enough right there, right? I've got 5 guns. You know, isn't that just normal guy thing? No, I'm sorry. Not in my book. I grew up, people lived in real rural areas, Canada, all kinds of places. None of them had 5 guns. My father never had a gun. He was in, you know, he was in the Canadian Army, the Navy. Never had a gun in the house. Anyway, yeah, I just don't see the function of this lethal weapon, you know, clean and maintained for what practical purpose, especially the whole assault rifle nonsense and whatever. So whatever, that's your dig and your gig and your whatever. Fine. I'm just saying I do find it threatening. I find it incredibly, I would find it incredibly obnoxious to live in one of these fucking free carry states, you know, where these assholes are wearing their guns on their fucking hips all day. I'd really find that irritating. Because it's just kind of a, you know, it's almost like the America playing this the superpower card. You know, nobody can fuck with us. We're too big to fail. Yeah, it's like the bankers and the too big to fail bullshit. It's a kind of gross arrogance. I find it very unmanly, frankly. Fake butch, or whatever, poser male, pretty much. Alright, so let's jump ahead to 34. somewhere around there anyway. I think there's something of interest. Perhaps not.
Pardon me.
Okay, you know, that's it right there. Pardon me. So you did this whole thing where you talk about sincere repentance and you know, that kind of thing, and then you'll say something like "pardon me" or "excuse me" or "forgive me," even. You know, when people do this crap, and you do it, you know, really at people. And I don't know why you or Brett Keane or all these people. So this is all part of what you think is. I don't know what you think it is, except evidence that you're not worth talking to almost. Because first off, yeah, like it often happens when you're losing an argument. I see people doing this belch thing, you know, because it's just a convenient, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not, you know, like, I'm going to disengage. It does seem like it's completely almost a willful act. And clearly the way it's done is willful. There's no effort to sneeze over there or do, you know, you're just doing it right into somebody's face. And I don't know what to call that, except that it's rude. It's a cheap way to argue. I'm sure there's some 16-year-old kid that could belch a whole video. You know, he could just belch every word. I don't know what to say. It's something the kids do. But there is just a gross lack of respect built into it. And if you can't sense that, you're really, like I said, there's something